Have you ever stopped praying for something because it felt like heaven closed its doors? Maybe the silence went on for so long that you convinced yourself God's answer was no. Maybe disappointment has wrapped itself so tightly around your faith that it feels safer not to expect anything anymore. But one of the bravest prayers you could ever pray is the one you keep praying, the kind that returns to the same request again and again, even after 100 whispered pleas, the kind that brings to God the ache you've tried so hard to bury. Because just because you haven't seen movement doesn't mean heaven hasn't been working all along. The boldest prayers aren't always shouted. Sometimes they're whispered through clenched teeth and quiet tears. They sound like, God, I'm still holding on, or God, I don't get it, but I'm here again. Or maybe just, if you're still willing, I'm still asking. And that's not weakness, that's strength. That's a kind of courage that chooses trust over fear, closeness over distance, surrender over silence. It takes bravery to show up again. It takes faith to believe again. It takes guts to lay that same hope at God's feet one more time, knowing the answer might not look like what you hoped, but trusting that He hears you anyway. So if you're tired, if hope feels like it's barely flickering, if this is your 100th prayer and still no answer, this is your call to pray again. Not because it's easy, but because it's brave, because God is listening. Let's take a breath together right now and open our hearts to the kinds of prayers that don't just move mountains, they move the heart of God. These prayers weren't polished. They weren't perfect. They were born in pressure, in fear, in heartbreak, and still, heaven responded. Today we look not just at the words, but at the surrender that shaped them, the surrender that changed everything. These are the prayers that come from broken places, and God never turns away from a heart that is broken and honest. In the book of Luke chapter 22 verse 42, Jesus prays in the garden, "Not my will, but yours be done." He wasn't praying from comfort. He was praying from agony. He was staring down the suffering of the cross, the weight of sin, our sin pressing on His shoulders. And still, His prayer wasn't, "Get me out of this, but I will obey you." His body was trembling. He was bleeding through his skin, and yet, He still surrendered. That's not giving up, that's holy courage. Have you ever stood in front of a decision that demanded that same kind of surrender? Have you faced something you didn't want but knew God was asking you to walk through anyway? This prayer is for those moments, the moments where obedience feels like heartbreak, where trust looks like walking into fire, and still, we choose God. It's not about sounding spiritual. It's about giving up control. It's saying, I don't like this. I don't understand it, but I trust you anyway. So let's say it again. Not my will, but yours be done. Let that be your anchor when nothing makes sense. Let it hold you steady when everything falls apart. If Jesus could trust the Father through the cross, we can trust Him through our own trials too. This is the highest kind of surrender, the kind that believes God's will isn't just higher than ours, it's better. It's kinder, wiser, more eternal. It's the kind of surrender that teaches us real peace isn't about having control, it's about releasing it. And in that stillness, that's where strength is born, a strength that can carry you through the longest night, a strength that holds your soul steady when words run dry, a strength that lifts your hands even when your heart is breaking. Mark chapter 9 verse 24 gives us another glimpse of brave faith. I believe. Help my unbelief. These words came from a father desperate to see his son healed. His faith was trembling, but it was real. This prayer carries a contradiction. It holds belief and doubt in the same breath. It doesn't pretend. It doesn't perform. It just shows up. Have you ever said, God, I trust you, while secretly wondering if He'll come through? That's this prayer. That's what courage sounds like. You don't have to hide your fear. You don't have to fake strength. Jesus isn't asking for perfect faith, just an honest heart. So say it with me. I believe. Help my unbelief. That's not weakness, that's worship. It's the purest kind of trust, the kind that invites heaven close. God is never pushed away by our doubt. He's moved by our honesty. And very often, the miracle starts there in the moment. We stop pretending and start reaching anyway, because He doesn't wait for perfect faith. He meets us in the mess and lifts us up. In 1 Samuel chapter 1 verses 10 and 11, we see a prayer that was poured out through pain. Hannah, heartbroken and misunderstood, comes before the Lord weeping bitterly. She doesn't lash out. She doesn't give up. She pours it out. Her tears were prayers. Her silence was prayer. Her sorrow was sacred. God didn't ignore her pain. He honored it. And when she said, "If you give me a son, I'll give him back to you," it wasn't manipulation, it was surrender. She showed us that the most powerful prayer is not "give me what I want," but "do what you want with what you give." That's the kind of prayer that brings breakthrough. Let's say it again. In her deep anguish, Hannah prayed. And let that remind you, your heartbreak is not invisible to God. This isn't weakness, it's an invitation. God meets you right there, in the ache, in the confusion, in the silence. Hannah's story reminds us, delay is not denial. Her bitterness didn't become her identity. It became the seed of blessing because she poured it out in prayer. Even when she was mocked, misunderstood, and felt completely empty, she didn't stop. She didn't need applause. She needed a sacred space. And in that space, history changed. Her desperate prayer cracked open the heavens. And from her sorrow came a prophet, one who would shape the course of a nation. So don't hold back your rawest pain. Don't filter your honesty. God is not shaken by your tears. He's drawn to them. 2 Chronicles chapter 20 verse 12 echoes our deepest cries. We do not know what to do, but our eyes are on you. Jehoshaphat wasn't leading with answers. He was leading with dependence. The threat was too large, the battle too overwhelming, and yet he didn't panic. He prayed. That kind of prayer doesn't say, "I have the plan." It says, "I know the one who does." It's not passive, it's posture. A heart turned toward heaven, a gaze fixed on the one who never changes. Say it with me now. My eyes are on you, because sometimes your greatest weapon isn't what you do, it's what you surrender. When your plans fall apart, prayer rises stronger. When your vision gets blurry, fixing your eyes becomes your compass. That prayer became the pivot point of breakthrough, and it still is today. You don't need to have it all figured out. You just need to lift your eyes. In that shift, heaven moves. Chains break, peace enters. When you're lost in the fog, your worship becomes your wisdom. Ephesians chapter 3 verse 20 stretches our faith into holy imagination. Now to Him who is able to do immeasurably more than all we ask or imagine. That's not exaggeration. That's promise. God isn't confined by what you can picture. His power moves far beyond your boundaries. Your most impossible prayer is only the beginning for Him. Your boldest dream, just a whisper in His ears. So don't shrink your faith. Don't water down your prayers. Say it now with confidence. Now to Him who is able. Yes, He is able. And yes, He is listening. Maybe your next breakthrough is waiting. One brave prayer away. He delights in doing more, not less. He's not overwhelmed by your boldness, He's invited by it. So dream again, ask again, hope again, because immeasurably more is still available. And even when you feel like you've run out of words, remember He hasn't run out of wonders. He's just getting started. Let's keep praying bravely, boldly, faithfully, because heaven is still listening and God is still moving. Let us pray. Heavenly Father, I come before you trembling, not turning away. This is one of those moments where courage doesn't feel like confidence, it feels like showing up, like breathing through the pain and saying softly, "Still, I trust you." Even when nothing is clear, even when I feel empty-handed, I'm still here, not with perfect words, but with honest ones. I give you the parts of me that still ache, the dreams that feel delayed, the prayers I've whispered again and again with no answer in sight. I give you the places in my soul that feel bruised from waiting, fragile from disappointment, and still, I say it, I trust you. Not because everything makes sense, but because you are still near. Lord, if being brave means letting go, then teach me to be brave again and again. If faith means moving forward with trembling hands, then anchor me in that kind of courage. Let my heart be steady not because of clarity, but because of your character. You've seen my tears in the quiet. You've witnessed the sleepless nights, filled with questions I couldn't voice. You've heard the sighs I didn't know how to explain. And though my lips are silent, my soul cries out, not my will, but yours. Not because I have no desires, but because I believe yours are higher, deeper, kinder. Even if they stretch me, even if they undo me, even if they demand more than I think I can give, I'm tired, Lord, not just in body but in soul, carrying questions that don't have answers, holding on to hopes that feel too heavy, bearing wounds from prayers that disappeared into the dark. But still, I choose you. I choose to kneel. I choose to lift this broken prayer because I believe you treasure it more than gold. I believe you gather moments like this, the moments of surrender, and receive them like sacred offerings. So I ask you now, do what only you can do. Turn this valley into a sacred place. Turn this ache into intimacy. Let the wilderness bloom with your presence. Do you see me here, God? Do you hear this quiet whisper? Even now, I believe you do. You are the God who walked into Gethsemane, the one who stood by Hannah in her weeping, the God who didn't shame the man who said, "Help my unbelief," but helped him anyway. You're not the kind of God who avoids our pain. You run into it. And right now, here in mine, I believe you're here. God, you wrap strength around my weakness and call it precious. Now help me not only to pray, but to stay present, stay open, stay surrendered. Teach me to trust again, to pray not because I feel brave, but because you are always faithful. Not because I glimpse answers, but because I've witnessed your faithfulness before. Let that be enough today. Let the memory of your goodness sustain me when sight fails. Let the ancient testimonies kindle fresh strength in my spirit. Let the promise of who you are drown out the fears that roar in the darkness. And when I can't see the next step, remind me that faith doesn't always walk, it sometimes crawls. Even then, it counts. If faith is a battle, let my trembling hands lift in surrender. If faith is a spark, breathe on it, ignite holy expectation. Not anxious worry, but joyful anticipation. Remind me you haven't forgotten. You're still scripting this story, and perhaps this very prayer is the groan before glory, the hidden alignment before breakthrough. God, grant me courage to pray when it hurts, when strength fails, when nothing seems to move. Let me be brave enough to believe you're working behind scenes I cannot see, that silence is not absence, that heaviness is not wasted, that darkness is the prelude to resurrection. I surrender again, not in defeat but in trust, not because I've run out of options, but because I believe you remain the best choice. Let my yes echo in heaven louder than my fears, stronger than my doubts, deeper than my questions. Let it shake the gates of hell and remind my heart, I am still here, still reaching, even with trembling hands. This time, not with mere resolve, but with resilience. I am still here, still praying, even now, even here. Yes, even when paths are unclear, I choose to trust you are near. What if silence is invitation, not absence? What if stillness draws me not to solve but to trust? When answers delay, don't let my worship delay. When doors stay closed, keep my heart open. May my praise outpace my panic. May my faith hold firm in the waiting. You are still God. When life stalls, you stay faithful. When I can't see forward, you keep working. Even if all I offer is a whisper, I believe. Help my unbelief know that the faintest cry of faith bears eternal weight, for you hear it. Inside me rages a battle between giving up and holding on. Yet I remember who I am in you, not my failures, not what fear declared, not a lost cause but a cherished child of the Most High. Speak louder than every lie. Call forth the identity you penned in me before creation began. Grant me quiet courage, one that doesn't boast but stands firm. Rise up my spirit even if circumstances remain unchanged. If this is the place to begin again, start with my heart. Jesus, more than my plans. Fan into flame the embers of faith that still trust in miracles, redemption, and second chances. Stir the ashes of prayers grown cold. Though disappointed, I am not disqualified. Though wounded, I remain willing, and willingness, I believe, is the ground where you plant the new. Rescue me now, not only from my problems but from the paralysis of fear. Deliver me from resignation and from the whisper that it'll always be like this. That's where the true struggle lies, between what I hoped for and what's yet to come. Yet you meet me there. You don't wait for me to be ready. You meet me in my rawness and say, I am here. God, you meet me exactly where I am, brave not because I feel fearless but because I belong to you. Faithful not because I see the end but because I know you walk with me into the unknown. Even if the road stretches on, I will not journey alone. Breathe fresh strength into my surrender. Remind me I'm not stuck. I'm held, that this wilderness is preparation. This wait is holy. Let my ache become an altar, my longing a deeper draw into you. I will keep knocking. I will keep hoping. I will keep trusting. And if all I can say today is I'm still here, let that be my anthem, proof I haven't given up, proof you're not finished. And that alone fills me with courage to pray again. Grant me endurance when progress is invisible. Here is my brave prayer, not for ease, but for a steady heart. Not for all the answers, but for deeper faith. Not for escape, but for endurance. Through tears, through silence, through every uncertain tomorrow, I'll keep saying, do what only you can do, God, and never let me go. Even if I limp onward, let that limp declare I wrestled with you and refuse to let go until you blessed me. In Jesus' mighty name, amen. After a prayer like that, don't rush away, linger. Let the stillness become sacred, because God often answers not in thunder but in the gentle echo after our surrender. Perhaps your next act of courage isn't motion but honesty. Will you finally voice the prayer you've been too frightened to speak? The desire you shelved for fear of disappointment? The healing you hesitated to ask for? God doesn't need polished words. He yearns for your open heart. The bravest prayer is the raw, unfiltered cry of your soul, spoken, even if through tears. This might be the bravest prayer of my life, you can say, and know, God is listening. He heard you when your voice trembled, was present when words failed, and cares more deeply than you know. If this stirred something in you, don't go quietly, let it change you. Type in the comments, God, I trust you with everything. Your single brave sentence could open the door to breakthrough. And if someone came to mind as you read this, share it. Be the friend who reminds them they're seen and not alone. We all need a companion who points us back to the one who listens and never lets go. For more daily prayers, reflections, and honest, hope-filled encouragement, join us at Grace Prayer. Your voice belongs here. Your story is welcome, and together, we seek the God who answers and never quits. Keep praying bravely, He's listening.